My dear friend, today there is a message burning within my soul, a stirring from heaven itself. If you are weary, worn out, and unsure of what to do next, if you are striving, sweating, and stretching beyond your limits just to keep going, hear me now. God never intended for you to carry burdens that only He can bear. He did not form you in your mother's womb so you would walk this earth relying solely on your own strength. He did not breathe life into you so that you would waste your days trying to control what He has already promised to work out. There is a deeper truth, one that will bring you freedom if you allow it to sink in. Simply exist and let God handle the rest. Yes, that's right. Let this truth shake your very core, awaken your soul. You were never meant to fix everything on your own. You were not called to be the savior of your circumstances. You are not expected to figure out every detail of tomorrow. God is the master planner, the architect of every outcome, the engineer of destiny. When you take His place, you break yourself under a weight you were never meant to carry. God declares in His word, "Be still and know that I am God." This is not a suggestion, my friend. It is a command. Be still. Stop striving. Stop panicking. Stop overanalyzing every possible outcome until your spirit collapses. Just exist right where you are with all your questions, pain, and confusion, and let God step in. Let Him take control. Let Him be God, because He is far better at it than you or I ever could be. You might say, "But if I stop fighting, won't I fall apart?" When you stop fighting in the flesh, you make room for God to fight in your spirit. When you cease pushing by your own power, you will witness the power of heaven breaking through like a mighty wind. You are not falling apart, child of God. You are falling into His arms. How many nights have you lain awake, staring at the ceiling, asking, "Lord, what more can I do?" The answer from heaven is not more effort, but more surrender. Not more worry, but more worship. Not more control, but more faith. Just exist, my friend. Exist in the stillness of trust. Exist in the quiet place where God speaks. Exist in the sacred simplicity of knowing He still reigns on the throne. You might say, "But nothing is changing." Let me tell you this. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God isn't at work. When a seed is planted in the ground, it looks like nothing is happening. The surface is silent, but underneath, oh God, underneath, life is bursting forth. Roots are growing, systems are forming, foundations are being laid. That is exactly where your life is right now. You may not see it yet, but God is arranging everything behind the scenes. Do not dig up what He is preparing just because you cannot yet see it. Do you see the fruit yet? God does not operate according to your timetable. He is not limited by your schedule. He is eternal. He is sovereign. He acts when the time is right, not when your anxiety demands immediate answers. Some of you are worn out, not because life itself is unbearable, but because you have been trying to play God. Lay it down. You are a child, not the creator. You are a vessel, not the source. You are the clay, not the potter. Let this truth humble you and uplift you simultaneously. The God who fashioned galaxies does not require your frantic hustle. He desires your heart. He doesn't need your schemes. He longs for your surrender. He does not ask for your blueprints. He seeks your faith. You have prayed again and again, yet peace still eludes you. Do you know why? Because your prayers have been a monologue, not a moment of surrender. You have been telling God what to do instead of trusting in what He is already doing. You have been begging for outcomes rather than praising Him amid uncertainty. My friend, peace is not found in perfect answers. It is found in perfect surrender. Just exist, breathe, trust, and allow God to do the rest. Some of you feel like giving up. You say, I can't handle this anymore. Good. That's exactly the point. You were never meant to carry it all. That breaking point you've reached, the moment your knees give way and your soul cries out. That is where God meets you. That is the altar of surrender. That is where your striving ends and His glory begins. God never performs His greatest miracles when you are strong. He moves when you are broken, surrendered, and laid bare at His feet. That is where resurrection happens. That is where transformation begins. You have been asking, what is the secret to peace? Here is the answer. Stop trying to run your life. Lay down your weapons. Hand over the wheel. You are not called to carry the cross alone. Christ already bore it up the hill. You are not called to earn His favor. He freely gave it on the cross. You are not called to micromanage His plan. He wrote it before time began. All He asks is that you exist in Him, abide, rest, and trust. Oh, how glorious it is when a soul finally stops striving and begins resting in grace. Grace, not works, not effort, not performance, but the unearned, undeserved, unstoppable love of God that lifts you out of your mess and sets you on the rock of ages. That is the gospel. That is the truth. That is the power that will carry you through the storm. You may be walking through fire right now. Bills are piling up. The diagnosis came back worse than expected. Relationships are falling apart. Jobs have been lost. Friends have vanished. And you ask, where is God? I will tell you where He is. He is right beside you in the fire, in the storm, in the silence, in the valley. He has not left you. He has not forsaken you, and He never will. The enemy wants you to believe that your pain is proof of God's absence. But I declare to you today, your pain is the platform from which God's presence will be revealed. Just exist, my friend. Stop asking God for an exit and start trusting Him in the process. He is refining you. He is teaching you to depend not on your intellect, not on your plans, not on your own understanding, but on Him alone. Scripture says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Why? Because your understanding is limited, but His wisdom knows no bounds. Your vision is narrow, but His plan is eternal. Your strength will fail, but His power never fades. You've tried doing things your way. You have leaned on your own wisdom. And where has that led you? To weariness, anxiety, frustration, and discouragement. It is time to let go of the illusion of control and embrace divine surrender. Your life is not a puzzle to solve. It is a journey to trust, a mystery to embrace, a story being written by the hand of the Almighty. You say, but I feel useless just sitting here doing nothing. Let me tell you this. Resting in God is not idleness. It is the greatest act of faith. It is a battle cry against fear. It is a declaration to the enemy that your trust is not in your circumstances, but in the Rock of Ages. It is a shout to the heavens that you believe in the unseen, that you walk by faith and not by sight. The world says hustle. God says abide. The world says grind. God says rest. The world says seize control. God says surrender control. Who will you listen to, the clamor of culture or the whisper of the Holy Spirit? One leads to burnout, the other leads to blessing. God is not impressed by how busy you are. He is moved by how broken you are before Him. He does not reward the self-reliant. He lifts up the humble. Those who kneel in quiet surrender will be the ones who rise in divine strength. And some of you have been wrestling for years, wrestling with anxiety, wrestling with fear, wrestling with your past, wrestling with your future. And God is saying to you now, stop wrestling and start resting. Stop fighting me. Stop resisting the process. Stop running in circles and begin walking in obedience. Just exist. Now hear me, child of God. There is a power in surrender that you cannot comprehend with your limited understanding. This world has taught us that power lies in effort, that control is found in action. From a young age, we've been told to fight for everything we want, to wrestle with every obstacle, to strive for success, to be in charge. But I'm here to tell you that the greatest power you will ever know comes not from fighting, but from yielding. The world urges you to take control, but God calls you to let go and let Him lead. What a paradox this is. The moment you surrender your will to God is the moment you discover your true strength, the moment you stop trying to control your life and begin letting God take the reins. That is when you enter the realm of His supernatural power. That is when you become a vessel of His glory, a channel through which He pours out His love, mercy, and peace. When we try to control everything, we become trapped by our own limitations. Our minds get cluttered with worry, our hearts grow heavy with fear, and our souls become exhausted from relentless striving. But when we surrender control and step into the unknown with God, we open ourselves to limitless possibilities that only He can provide. I want you to hear this clearly. You were never meant to carry the weight of this life alone. That is why Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He did not say, "Come to me and I will make you work harder." He did not say, "Come to me and I will give you more to do." He said, "Come to me and I will give you rest." And let me assure you, rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is a sign of faith. When you rest in God, you are trusting that He will handle everything that concerns you. Resting in God does not mean you become inactive. It means you stop trying to do everything alone and allow Him to take over the burdens you were never meant to bear. It means trusting His wisdom, His timing, and His plan. It means allowing Him to fight your battles. It means releasing your grip on every detail and opening your heart to His divine guidance. That, my friend, is where true freedom is found. I know some of you are afraid. You fear what will happen if you stop trying to control your life. You worry about what might go wrong if you don't take charge. You fear that if you let go, everything will fall apart. But I am here to tell you today, nothing will fall apart when God is in control. What may fall away are the things that were never meant for you. What may break are the chains of self-reliance that have held you captive. But God will never let slip through His hands anything that is part of His plan. You need not fear when you rest in His care. Let me share with you a story about a storm. In the gospel, Jesus and His disciples were caught in a terrible storm while crossing a lake. The disciples were frantic, fearing for their lives. They rowed desperately against the waves, struggling with all their strength, yet nothing seemed to help. And where was Jesus? He was asleep in the boat. He was resting. He was not worried about the storm. He was not troubled by the waves. He was not panicking over the thunder or lightning. You might ask, how could He sleep during such a terrifying storm? Because Jesus knew something the disciples did not. He knew that as long as He was in the boat, the storm could not harm them. When the disciples woke Him, He did not panic. He did not scramble for solutions. He simply said, "Peace, be still." And in that moment, the winds and waves obeyed His command. What does this teach us? It teaches us that in life storms, it's not about how hard you row or how fiercely you fight. It's about knowing that the one who controls the wind and waves is with you. As long as He is in your boat, the storm will never have the final word. It's not about your effort, it's about His presence. Just exist. Let God handle the rest. You may feel like you're battling your own storm right now. The waves might be towering, the wind's howling, and you might feel like you're sinking. But I tell you, my friend, when you stop fighting on your own and place your trust in God, when you let Him take the wheel, peace will come. The storm will not last forever. God will calm the winds. He will quiet the waves and bring you safely to the other side. But here's the key. You must trust that He knows exactly what He is doing. You must trust that He is not asleep. He never sleeps on the job. He is never unaware of your struggles. He sees every tear, every ache, every prayer. And in His perfect timing, He will step into your storm and declare peace over it. But first, you must release control. First, you must trust Him with the outcome. I know some of you have been carrying heavy burdens for years. You've been trying to fix everything, trying to make it all work, trying to control the uncontrollable, and that weight is crushing you. But today I tell you, you don't have to carry it any longer. You don't have to bear that load alone. God is calling you to lay it down at His feet. He's calling you to stop striving and start surrendering. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy. I know it's frightening to let go of the things you've clung to for so long. But God never intended for you to live in fear. He never intended for you to carry the world's weight on your shoulders. The truth is, you cannot carry it, but He can. And when you trust Him, when you stop trying to control the outcome, you will experience a peace that surpasses all understanding. I feel it in my spirit. Some of you right now are at a breaking point. You've been fighting, struggling, trying to do it all yourself. You're exhausted, you're discouraged, you're ready to give up. But I'm here to tell you the answer is not to do more. The answer is to trust God more. The answer is to release control and let Him guide you. When you do that, you will find the peace you've been longing for. You will find the rest your soul desperately needs. And when you rest in God, you will discover that His plan is greater than anything you could have imagined. Your plans are limited. Your understanding is finite. But God's plan is perfect. It is filled with hope, full of promise, and overflowing with purpose. When you release your own agenda and surrender to His will, He will guide you to places beyond your wildest dreams. He will open doors that no one can close. He will make a way where there appears to be no way. Let go, my friend. Let go of the worry. Let go of the fear. Let go of the need to control every detail. And let God take care of the rest. He will carry you farther than you could ever travel on your own. He will lift you higher than you could ever climb by your own strength. Just exist. Remain in His presence. Trust in His power and watch Him perform miracles in your life. I want you to grasp something, beloved. In God's kingdom, it's not the strong who prevail. It's the surrendered. The world encourages you to strive, to push, to fight until exhaustion. But in God's kingdom, it's the humble, the broken, the willing to yield who are exalted. The truth is, when you fight until you're drained, you deplete the very power you were meant to draw from. But when you surrender to God and trust Him through the process, His strength is perfected in your weakness. Do you know why? Because God doesn't need your strength to fulfill His will. He doesn't need your brilliance to accomplish His purpose. He doesn't need your plans to make things happen. What He desires is your faith. What He desires is your obedience. What He desires is your willingness to say, Lord, I trust You with everything. I trust You with my dreams, my hopes, my fears, my future. When you stop pushing through in your own strength, that's when His power will overflow in your life. I understand this is hard for many of you to accept because we've been taught all our lives to take control. We've been conditioned to believe that if we don't fight for ourselves, no one else will. But let me tell you this. God will fight for you when you are too weak to fight. He will battle on your behalf. When the fight is too intense, when the enemy seems too strong, He will be your shield and protector. Let me remind you, God never wastes His power. He never wastes His strength. When you surrender to Him, you position yourself to receive the full force of His power. Do you understand what that means? It means every battle you face, God has already won. It means every obstacle, every enemy, every difficulty in your life has already been overcome by God. When you let go and allow Him to work, you are simply walking in the victory He has already secured for you. Think about it, my friend. How many of us have spent endless hours worrying, trying to figure things out, trying to make things work? How many of us have labored in our own strength only to see the fruits fall short? How many battles have we fought that were never ours to fight in the first place? We spend so much time and energy trying to control everything, but what do we end up with? Burnout, frustration, anxiety. Yet when we choose to surrender to God, when we cease striving and begin trusting, that's when the miraculous starts to unfold. I want you to look around, both in the natural and the spiritual. You are surrounded by undeniable evidence of God's divine orchestration. You see, God is always at work, even when we cannot see it. You may feel your circumstances are hopeless, that your situation is beyond repair, but that is a lie from the enemy. God specializes in the impossible. The same God who parted the Red Sea, gave sight to the blind, and raised the dead is the very same God working in your life right now. But here's the key, beloved. You must stop trying to make things happen on your own. You must stop wrestling with your own plans and trust that God's plan is far greater than anything you could imagine. When you cease resisting God's will and begin aligning your heart with His, that's when you start seeing His hand move in ways beyond your expectations. And let me assure you, God is never late. His timing is perfect. We may not understand it. We may become impatient. We may want things to happen immediately. But God's timing is always flawless. The waiting is not punishment, it's preparation. God is getting you ready for what He is about to bring into your life. The longer the wait, the greater the blessing, the greater the miracle, the greater the testimony. How often do we hear people say, "I wish I had known then what I know now"? How often do we look back and realize that the times we thought God had forgotten us were actually moments of preparation for something greater? The wilderness, beloved, is not a place of abandonment. It is a place of refinement. God is refining you, molding you, shaping you, so that when His blessing arrives, you will be ready to receive it. I know waiting can be frustrating, but I want to remind you that waiting is not wasted time. God is working within you even when you cannot see it. He is strengthening your faith. He is building your character. He is preparing you for the destiny He has already planned. So do not grow weary in doing good. Do not allow impatience to blur your vision. Your breakthrough is coming, and it will come at exactly the right time. But I also want you to understand this. When you stop striving, you also make room for God to work in the lives of those around you. You see, when you release control, you release your hold over others. You stop trying to change them. You stop manipulating outcomes. You stop trying to fix them. And that is when God can step in and begin to work deeply in their hearts. There are some of you struggling in relationships, trying to change people, trying to fix things beyond your ability. I want to tell you today, stop trying to control them. Stop trying to change them. Release them into God's hands and trust that He will do the work. God has the power to soften hearts. He has the power to break down walls. He has the power to heal relationships. But it is not your job to fix people. It is your job to love them. It is your job to pray for them. It is your job to trust God with them. And when you let go of control, you will see God work in their lives in ways you could never have imagined. This is not just about you and God. It's about you, God, and the people around you. Your surrender, your trust, your faith will impact everyone in your circle. When you rest in God, when you stop fighting, you give others the freedom to do the same. You give them the freedom to trust, to believe, to rest. Your faith becomes a beacon to those around you, showing them that they too can surrender. and let God do the rest. So let me ask you, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to stop fighting and start resting in God's promises? Are you ready to trust that His plan for your life is far better than anything you could ever imagine? If you are, then I tell you this: the moment you let go, the moment you surrender, you will step into the fullness of what God has for you. Just exist, child of God. Just exist in His presence. Let Him do the rest. He will open the doors. He will fight the battles. He will bring the breakthrough. He will make a way where there seems to be no way. And when you look back, you will realize that the only thing you ever needed to do was trust Him. I want you to grasp this truth deep in your soul. God's plan for your life is already in motion. You don't have to orchestrate it. You don't have to manipulate it. Your part is to trust, to yield, to surrender. God is not bound by time. His plans transcend the limitations of this world. What He has promised to you, He will surely fulfill. His word says, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. But too many of us in our human nature feel the pressure to make things happen on our own. We feel we must control every detail, every outcome, as if God is somehow incapable of doing what He said He would do. Let me tell you, God is more than capable. In fact, He's the only one who is. It's time to stop striving against what God has already ordained. You are not in this alone. You are not left to your own devices. The Creator of the universe is working on your behalf, and His plan is perfect. When you stop struggling, when you let go of the wheel, you give God room to steer your life. I know it's hard. I know it's challenging. But remember, God's timing is never late, and His answers are always perfect. Some of you might be wondering, but what if I make a mistake? What if I miss the path? I want you to hear this. When you are walking in faith, when you are seeking God with a pure heart, even your mistakes are used for His glory. God's grace covers you even in the places where you feel you've fallen short. God will make up the difference. His power is perfected in your weakness. His grace is sufficient for you no matter what you face. When you rest in Him, He works all things together for your good. Do you believe that today? There's a deep peace that comes when you realize you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were never meant to. The pressure you feel, the worry, the anxiety, the constant striving is not from God. Those are the tools the enemy uses to bind you, to distract you from your true purpose. The enemy wants you to feel like it all depends on you. He wants you to believe that unless you control everything, you will lose. But the truth is, it's not all up to you. God is in control. And when you release that control, you open your life to His miraculous work. I know some of you are facing circumstances that seem overwhelming. You've prayed, you've hoped, and it feels like nothing is changing. But I want to tell you, beloved, God is moving behind the scenes. His silence is not His absence. Just because you can't see His hand at work doesn't mean He's not working on your behalf. God is not bound by what we see or feel. He operates in ways beyond our understanding, and sometimes He is using the very struggle you are facing to build you up for something far greater than you can imagine. Your pain, your struggles, your challenges, they are not wasted. They are part of the process. It is through the fire that the gold is refined. It is through the storm that the ship is made stronger. It is in the darkest night that the stars shine brightest. So when you feel like giving up, when you feel like everything is falling apart, remember that God is using that very moment to prepare you for something beyond what you could ever dream of. Do you trust Him in the silence? Do you trust Him when the answers are delayed? Can you trust that He is still in control even when it seems like your world is crumbling? That is the challenge of faith. But I promise you this, God's plans will never fail. The world may disappoint you. People may fail you. but God's word is steadfast. His promises are sure. God is not asking you to carry the burden of your life alone. He's asking you to surrender it to Him. And when you do, you open the door to divine possibilities. That mountain you've been trying to climb, it's already moved. That valley you have been walking through, God is walking right there with you. The battle you have been fighting has already been won. Stop trying to fight it in your own strength. Stop carrying what you were never meant to carry. Just exist in God's grace and let Him handle the rest. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not forgotten. You may feel small. You may feel insignificant. You may feel like just one person in a vast world struggling to make a difference. But listen carefully. God sees you. He knows your heart. He understands your pain. He knows your deepest desires and the longings of your soul. And He has already prepared a way for you. Here is the key, beloved. You must trust Him enough to let go. There comes a moment when you have to stop trying to control your own destiny. There comes a time when you must release your dreams, your future, and your struggles into His hands. When you do, the floodgates of heaven will open over you. You will find peace that surpasses all understanding. You will witness God's hand moving in ways you never imagined. Let me ask you, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to stop fighting? Are you ready to trust that God is not only able, but willing to fulfill every promise He has made to you? I know it's hard. I know it feels risky, but this is the essence of faith, to trust in what is unseen, to believe in the impossible, and to surrender fully to the will of the Almighty. So I urge you, with everything within me, just exist. Take your hands off the wheel. Stop trying to force the outcome. Stop striving for what God has already ordained. Let God do the rest. He will lead you. He will provide for you. He will fight for you. Trust in His perfect plan, His perfect timing, and His perfect provision. When you do, you will see the power of God working in your life in ways you could never have imagined. Just exist. Let God do the rest. The Lord calls us to rest in Him, not because He is unaware of our struggles, but because He knows we cannot bear the weight of our own lives. Too many of us walk under the shadow of stress, trying to carry burdens we were never meant to bear. We think we need to control everything, our finances, our relationships, our health, our future. We live as if we alone must make everything happen. But the truth is, God is sovereign and good. He is working things out behind the scenes far more capable than we are. When we surrender to God, when we stop trying to handle everything on our own, we open space for His supernatural power to work. You are not alone on this journey. You don't have to worry about the how or the when. All you need to focus on is the who. And the who is the one who created the universe, who speaks and the winds obey, who holds your life in His hand. He is in control and He is trustworthy. The problem is that too often we fixate on our circumstances, on things we cannot change. We obsess over problems and give them more power than they deserve. But remember this, your circumstances do not define you. Your situation is temporary, but God's love and plan for you are eternal. He knows the end from the beginning. He is not shaken by your present trial. He is already working on your behalf. But what if, instead of worrying about all the things beyond our control, we devoted more time to trusting God with all the unseen? What if we spent more moments recognizing that He holds the future firmly in His hands and has already prepared the path for us? Imagine the overwhelming peace that would fill your soul if you truly believe this. Imagine the freedom you'd experience by letting go completely, releasing your grasp, and trusting God to take care of everything else. Some of you might wonder, how do I trust like that? How can I release my fears, anxieties, and desire to control? Let me tell you, it's a choice. It's an act of faith. You don't need to have all the answers, but you must decide to trust. Trust doesn't guarantee that hardships won't come. It means that when the storm arrives, you know who holds the storm in his hand. Trusting yourself doesn't mean you won't face uncertainty. It means you know the one who holds your future, and he is good. Choosing to trust God means choosing peace. It means choosing rest. It means believing that the one who called you and saved you is more than capable of leading you exactly where he wants you. You don't have to figure everything out. Just exist. Let God handle the rest. Beloved, I want to remind you forever that God's ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are higher than ours. Many of us try to rush God's timing, eager to speed up his plan, but God is never rushed. He is perfect in his timing. God makes no mistakes. You may be waiting on an answer, waiting for a breakthrough, or waiting for a door to open. But hear this, your waiting is not in vain. Often it is during waiting that God does his deepest work within you. He is refining your character. He is teaching you greater trust, patience, endurance, and faith. Think about Abraham's story. God promised him he would be the father of many nations, yet he had to wait for years. His wife Sarah was barren, and the promise seemed impossible. But Abraham did not try to fulfill the promise on his own strength. He waited, he trusted, and at God's perfect timing, God accomplished the rest. The promise came to pass. What God has spoken over your life will surely come to fulfillment, not because you made it happen, but because God is faithful to his word. And I assure you, it is no different for you. God has a plan for you, a good plan, a perfect plan. You might not see the path clearly now, but God is working behind the scenes. You might not understand the reasons for your trials, but God is using them for your good. And when the right time comes, he will bring you into the fullness of his promises. You don't need to know how or when. You only need to know that God reigns supreme and will make a way where no way seems possible. There is a peace that comes from surrendering to God's will, a peace beyond human understanding. The world encourages you to fight, to strive, to control. But God's peace comes when we stop fighting and begin trusting. It comes when we stop striving and start surrendering. When you trust God to handle the rest, you will witness his provision in ways beyond your imagination. He will sustain you in the wilderness. He will open doors that no one can close. He will strengthen you when you feel weak. He will grant you wisdom when you are unsure of what to do, but you must allow him to. And when you allow God to take control, you will discover a joy that does not depend on your circumstances, but flows from knowing you are living within his perfect will. Your joy will not be shaped by outward appearances, but by the peace dwelling within your heart. You will be able to face life's storms with a song in your soul, confident that your God is sovereign. The more you learn to simply be in God's presence, the more you will taste the freedom that comes from trusting him. The more you release your grip, the clearer you will see God's hand at work in your life. When you cease striving, when you stop trying to carry everything on your own, you make space for God to work miracles. You will see doors open, broken relationships restored, dreams revived, and the impossible become reality. All because you let God do the rest. Today, I want to remind you, it's not about your strength. It's not about your wisdom. It's not about how much control you have. It's about trusting the God who created you, who loves you unconditionally, who has never failed and never will. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to understand how everything will unfold. Just exist in his grace. Just trust him. Let God do the rest. And when you do, you'll experience a peace that cannot be shaken. You will find a joy that defies explanation. And you will witness God moving in your life in ways you never thought possible. He is faithful. He is able. And he will do the rest. Beloved, I want you to grasp today that God's calling on your life is not about struggle, but about surrender. We are not meant to fight in our own strength, to bear the burdens of life without His guidance, and certainly not to try and control every outcome. The tighter we hold on to control, the more we become enslaved by worry and anxiety. But the more we surrender, the more God's peace floods our hearts and minds. True freedom is found in surrender. It is when we yield our will to God that we discover our truest identity. Too many of us live lives shaped by worldly expectations or by the lies we tell ourselves about who we need to be. We measure our worth by achievements, by others' opinions, or by what we possess. But God's measure is different. He measures us by love, faith, and obedience. He sees the heart, and when you surrender that heart to Him, He begins to shape and mold you into the person He always intended you to be. The truth is, we are all deeply in need of God's grace, and His grace is enough. When we rest in His grace, we stop trying to earn our place. We stop striving to prove our worth. God's grace is freely given and more than sufficient to carry us through every trial, every disappointment, and every challenge. You don't have to be flawless. You don't need to have everything figured out. All that's required is simply to be present in His presence, and He will take care of the rest. I understand that some of you are facing overwhelming situations right now. Some of you may be standing on the brink of despair, wondering how you will make it through another day. You might feel the heavy burden of the world pressing down on your shoulders, and the urge to take control is powerful. But I want to remind you of this truth. God has never abandoned you. When the storms roar, He is there. When the path ahead is uncertain, He is guiding your steps. When you feel like you are sinking, He is the solid rock beneath your feet. Trust in His presence and know that He is with you always. There is a purpose behind our calling to walk by faith, not by sight. Faith is not grounded in what our eyes can see or our minds can comprehend. It rests on the confident hope of things not yet seen. It is within this realm of faith that God accomplishes His greatest works. When we release control, He takes hold. When we step forward in faith, He walks alongside us. The Apostle Paul speaks of a peace that transcends all understanding. This peace isn't dependent on our circumstances. It isn't shaken by life's storms. It is a peace rooted in the certainty that we are held securely by the hands of an almighty God. A peace that declares, even if everything falls apart, I am safe in His embrace. This is what it means to simply exist and let God handle the rest. It's not about putting your life on hold. It's about stepping into the flow of God's purpose for you, trusting in His control and allowing Him to lead. We often believe we must have every detail worked out. We think we need a plan, a strategy, a full blueprint. But God works differently. He leads us step by step, day by day, moment by moment. He doesn't demand a complete roadmap of our lives. What He desires is our trust, our obedience, and our willingness to follow Him one step at a time. Choosing to trust God means choosing peace. Choosing to surrender means choosing freedom. Letting go of control opens the door for God's power to move in ways beyond what we can imagine. God doesn't just want you to survive. He wants you to flourish. He wants you to live with joy, purpose, and strength, knowing He is orchestrating all things for your good. You're not aimlessly drifting through life. You are a child of the Most High, and He has a divine purpose for you. It's time to stop living weighed down by your own expectations. It's time to stop feeling like you have to make everything happen. God will act. He will provide. He will make a way. He will open doors no one can close. He will protect you. He will strengthen you. Just exist. Trust Him with everything. Let Him do the rest. Some of you are waiting for God to move in your life. You've been praying, seeking, and hoping for breakthrough. And while you wait, remember this: God is never early and He is never late. He always arrives exactly on time. His timing is perfect. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, while you wait, God is working in ways you cannot see. And when the right time comes, He will bring the answer, the provision, the healing, and the breakthrough you need. I know waiting is hard. I know it's difficult to be patient when your prayers seem unanswered, your efforts feel fruitless, and your heart is broken. But hear this, beloved: God is faithful. He has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you. He will not leave you stranded in the wilderness forever. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep hoping. He will do the rest. The Bible tells us that when we are weak, He is strong. When we grow weary, He becomes our strength. You don't need to have everything together. You don't have to carry the burdens of the world. Just be. Rest in His grace. Rest in His love. He has promised to care for you, and He will fulfill that promise. He will carry you through every storm. He will bring you safely to the other side. And He will do it in a way that glorifies His name. When you look back on your life, you will realize it wasn't your strength that brought you through, it was His. It was His power, His faithfulness, and His grace. Let God do the rest. He will lead you to victory, to peace, and to the fulfillment of the dreams He placed in your heart. So, today, beloved, I encourage you, stop striving, stop struggling, stop trying to do everything on your own. Just be. Let God handle the rest. As you do, you will experience a life filled with peace, purpose, and power, because you are walking in God's will, and there is no better place to be. As we close this moment, remember this truth: God is greater than any problem you will ever face. He is more than able. No matter how difficult your situation may seem, it is never beyond His reach. His hands are never too short to save, and His heart is always open to those who seek Him. Release the weight you carry, the burden of trying to control your life, the constant worry, the self-imposed pressure to be perfect. It's not yours to bear. Surrender it to Him. Just exist in the fullness of His grace, knowing He will do the rest. As you move forward, remember, you do not walk alone. The Creator of the universe walks with you, beside you, and within you. He is the light that guides your path, the strength of your soul, and the purpose of your life. All He asks is your trust and your willingness to follow. When you trust Him, when you surrender to Him, His power becomes your power. His peace becomes your peace, and His victory becomes your victory. So let go. Release your fears, doubts, and distractions. Let go of the need to control and the pressure to have everything figured out. Just exist in His presence, in His love, and in His grace. And know that in this space, God will do miracles beyond your imagination. He will bring the restoration you need, the breakthrough you seek, and the transformation you long for. Just exist. Let God do the rest, and watch Him turn your life into a testimony of His greatness.